back to the Daily Grind. Thanks for checking out the channel. Make sure to hit subscribe if you're new and hit thumbs up if you're not a baby back pickle biting bitch boy, cause you know what time it is. It's full time.
MMA.
Yoel Romero joined Ariel Helwani on the MMA Hour this Monday and continued to accuse Luke Rockhold of ducking him essentially, and also said that he can't get anybody to take a fight with him, so maybe his longtime rival Michael Bisping will want to step up and fight him in the main event of UFC Orlando this February. Now, it's possible, as we all know, Michael Bisping just lost that $400,000 settlement, so, you know, maybe even though Michael Bisping's got a lot of opportunities outside of fighting, Michael Bisping did say he's looking for one more fight before retiring, and who would not love to see this longtime rivalry come to a head? Michael Bisping's retirement fight fighting Yoel Romero. We all know the history there. Yoel Romero was looking for a title shot. Michael Bisping was the champion. Yoel Romero couldn't get the fight at that point. Whenever Yoel Romero did get the interim title fight versus Robert Whitaker, Michael Bisping was cage side to rip up the Cuban flag and throw it at him. The disrespect levels are unreal between these two. Michael Bisping continuously accuses Yoel Romero of being a PED user. I mean, these guys got a lot of heat. This would make for a very exciting fight and a great fight. But with that being said, Michael Bisping is coming off of two finished losses since losing his belt. He lost to George St. Pierre in the main event of Madison Square Garden, where he was knocked down and choked out by George St. Pierre. Then he also fought Kelvin Gastelum just 3 short weeks later in the main event of UFC Shanghai, where he was also finished, where he was knocked out in that fight. So Michael Bisping, February is 2 months from now. I think that would give Michael Bisping time to be medically recovered and go through a camp. But I actually think Michael Bisping doesn't want to fight in Orlando, which is where Yoel Romero is targeting. Michael Bisping was talking about retiring at home, possibly in London. And I believe there's going to be a pretty big card in March or April in London where we might see the return of Darren Till as well. So Jimmy Manuwa also wanted to fight on that card. Yeah, it's in March, remember, because Jimmy Manuwa wanted to fight Glover on that card. So with that being said, that will probably be where Michael Bisping wants to fight. Yoel Romero is saying, though, look, Luke Rockhold could have fought me and then fought Robert Whitaker. Now, I do understand that the UFC needed a fight for Robert Whitaker because GSP just vacated the title, so Robert Whitaker wants to defend in UFC 221 in Perth, Australia. There's no other champion that really makes as much sense to headline there other than Robert Whitaker, so they needed a fight. And since Yoel Romero's coming off of a loss and Luke Rockhold just picked up that win over David Branch, Luke Rockhold got the nod. Now, with that being said, Yoel Romero has been wanting to fight Luke Rockhold since before the David Branch fight, and that's when he originally started accusing Luke Rockhold of ducking him. He's like, look, I wanted to fight Luke Rockhold just 1 month after he fought David Branch, but instead he's like, nope, I'm fighting David Branch. He said, you know, and Luke Rockhold came out and responded to that and did say, look, you know, Yoel Romero doesn't want to fight me in a 5-round fight. This was a 5-round fight. That's why he ducked it. So they accuse each other of ducking the fight or whatever, but Luke Rockhold got the win over David Branch, and Yoel Romero was left without an opponent. And now that Luke Rockhold has the title shot versus Robert Whitaker, it's looking like none of these top welterweights are wanting to fight Yoel Romero. I mean, let's think about who there is. Chris Weidman, Kelvin Gastelum. That could be a fight for Yoel Romero, right? Kelvin Gastelum wanted the title fight. Yoel Romero needs a fight. Oh, yeah. Yoel Romero's manager just came out and said Kelvin Gastelum turned down the fight with Yoel. So that's interesting. I mean, Kelvin Gastelum is one of the only available top middleweights, and for Kelvin Gastelum to be wanting a title shot, maybe you need to take the Robert Whitaker road. I mean, a lot of people question Kelvin Gastelum's ability in the top of the middleweight division because his performance versus Chris Weidman, who is an actual true middleweight contender, former middleweight champion. Even though Kelvin Gastelum caught him with a good shot, Chris Weidman pretty much ragdolled him from there on out, just showing his size advantage. So now Kelvin Gastelum was kind of looking for immediate title shot with his most recent knockout win over the former champion Michael Bisping, but Luke Rockhold got the shot. So now Kelvin Gastelum doesn't have an opponent. Yoel Romero doesn't have an opponent. But Kelvin Gastelum's not taking that fight for whatever reason. Now, Yoel Romero needs an opponent, so if it's not going to be Gastelum, he'll fight Bisping. They've got a rivalry, even though Bisping is coming off of 2 losses. He's like, yo, we've got a rivalry, maybe we can fight. I don't see Bisping taking the fight, especially if he's trying to main event UFC Orlando, or if he's trying to fight at UFC Orlando, Yoel Romero. I don't know who else there is for Yoel Romero to fight. We already saw Yoel Romero versus Chris Weidman, so that's probably not going to be the fight. The other top middleweight contenders, Derek Brunson. Yoel Romero versus Derek Brunson, maybe. That could be a fight that happens. I think they have fought once before, but maybe they'll get the rematch. Maybe Derek Brunson will want to fight Yoel Romero and get the rematch. I think Derek Brunson might have been winning that fight until he was knocked out. It's been a while since that fight happened, but with that being said, yeah, Yoel Romero needs a main event. He needs an opponent for UFC Orlando. It's looking like it's not going to be Kelvin Gastelum, who Yoel Romero's managers already said turned down the fight. He's looking, it's not going to be Rockhold, who's got the title fight. The only two people I can think of are Derek Brunson or Kelvin Gastelum, and it's not going to be Kelvin Gastelum. So with that being said, I've said enough on this video. It is what it is. Let the full-time family know what you think in the comments. I'm out.
Da 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 da. It's the motherfucking DOWG.